Hi everyone, welcome to another Sailor Moon Crystal review. Today we'll be discussing Act 14 of Sailor Moon Crystal, and I do not know how to pronounce the title for that, well, at least part of it, so I'll just call it Act 14, Petite Stranger. So Act 14 picks up right where Act 13 left off, where Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask were fighting Metalia, I believe is the name of the queen, the evil queen, and something that's a little different from the fight from the 90s episode of Sailor Moon was, in the 90s, Sailor Moon fought Queen Beryl and Metalia together because Queen Beryl and Metalia merged as one, and she had the Guardians or Scouts, however you want to refer to them as, with her. That was different. In Crystal today, she had just Metalia to fight. And so that's different. And also in the 90s, another difference was the moon stick, the handle for it grew really long. That happened today in Crystal, and in the 90s, it just stayed the short little moon stick that they had, so that's different. The crystal was different. It was the lotus flower shape instead of the circle, so that's another difference. And one thing I thought that was really good for today's episode was after Queen Metalia was defeated, the Moon Kingdom, the Silver Millennium, was rebuilt, it reappeared, I think, as a permanent thing. Instead, it didn't stay in, like, the ruins, because in the 90s, the Moon Kingdom did not reappear after Queen Beryl and Metalia were defeated. That stayed as ruins. And so, you might be asking yourself, where were the Scouts? The Scouts were knocked out, and Luna and Artemis were still in the prayer room on the moon. So Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask did this alone, or did it together. And of course, Sailor Moon's brooch broke, and she heard Luna call to her and say, "Come to the moon," and Sailor Moon's like, "Oh, I don't know how," and Luna's like, "Concentrate with the moon stick." So Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask both appear on the moon, teleport to the moon, and Luna tells her that she is now Queen Serenity of the Moon Kingdom. But Sailor Moon wants to stay on Earth with her family, her friends, and Mamoru, Mamoru Endymion, however you want to pronounce the name. And so Queen Serenity from the past, her mother from the past, appears and says, "Is this truly what you wish?" She says yes. And when the queen disappears, the crystal brooch, what I call the crystal brooch from the R season, takes her place, and that's Sailor Moon's new locket. She puts the silver crystal into the locket, and she transforms into Sailor Moon, and she uses the moon stick to reawaken the planet, or reawaken everybody that's passed out. And yes, the tiara is back. She does no longer have the crescent symbol on her forehead like she did when she fought Queen Beryl and Metalia in the first part of the arc of Crystal. And let's see, what else do I want to say? So that kind of wraps up the first arc, and it gives us a glimpse into the second arc, which is the R arc. I believe Crystal, at least Toei Animation, and Naoko Takeuchi, by the way, I can finally say her name, I'm so happy, I'm getting better, slowly but better at the Japanese. I think what they're going to do for this part of the arc, because it is coming into the second arc of Crystal, I believe what they're going to do is call it Sailor Moon Crystal R. So we can kind of have a part of the classic 90s version where we had Sailor Moon R, and then the new reboot version combined, because the new reboot's Sailor Moon Crystal. So I believe what they're going to do is put Sailor Moon Crystal R for the new arc of Crystal. So that's just my theory. Also, what I want to say also about today's episode is people are wondering, will Chibiusa show up? Yes. That happens toward the end of Act 14. What happens is Usagi, I believe she's at her house, and her parents are shocked. Why are you here? And then she goes to school or something, I believe, and she freaks out because she doesn't do her homework, so she's freaking out about that. So, after school, she meets Mamoru in the park, and she sneaks up to him and kisses him on the cheek, which I thought was cute. Really cute. And, let's see, what else do I want to say? Also, Mamoru asks Usagi why she was late. And he asked, did you get in trouble with school again? No, she didn't. She actually got his watch repaired, because remember, he has her handkerchief that we saw in Act 4, Masquerade Party, I believe is the name of that. And then she had his watch, his pocket watch from Act 6. So they've been holding on to the two items for each other for a while. So now they meet up in the park, they kiss, and they exchange the items. And what I found, this is a connection to the R arc in the 90s and this arc. When Chibiusa appears in the 90s, I think I'm saying the name right, not sure, but when she appears in the 90s, she falls right when they're kissing, and Mamoru actually kisses Chibiusa instead of Usagi. That's another comparison to the 90s that they kept in there. Let's see what else. Oh yes, I'm not sure, I'll have to rewatch the R season from the 90s, but when Chibiusa wants the crystal from Usagi, she has a toy gun pointed at her, I believe. I think that happened in the 90s, I'm not sure. But that did happen in today's episode. So, yeah, overall, I thought today's episode was amazing. I loved the artwork. The artwork for Chibiusa looks really good. Crystal is actually really good for me because with my sight I can't make out the difference. But the way they're drawing it now, I can actually see the difference. So I really liked it. It was really good. And yeah, I will continue to watch Sailor Moon Crystal probably all the way through the Star arc. And I hope, this is just my theory, I hope when they do finish out the manga, they put in the final arc, or final scene from the manga where Mamoru and Usagi get married, and maybe they could probably throw in a scene or two that's not in the manga, meaning their wedding. So that's kind of one thing I really hope to see in the new reboot. And so yeah, I really liked it, and if you haven't seen it already, I would highly suggest that you guys go on Hulu, Nico Nico, Crunchyroll, Viz.com, any place streaming it, and watch it, because it is really good. And it'll answer a lot of questions, because I've been hearing on Facebook, when is Chibiusa going to appear? She appears in the final couple minutes of the Act 14 and stuff. So Act 15 will air February 7th, and that'll kick off the R arc. And so maybe we'll get a new opening with the same song, Moon Pride. I don't know. It's a theory. But yeah, so there's my review for Sailor Moon Crystal, Act 14. I'll see you in the next Sailor Moon Crystal review. Bye.